And we are live.
Yeah, so for you folks that missed that exciting part at the very beginning, we'll do it over again for you.
Nice. Well,
we'll put a positive spin on that.
Welcome to our webinar. I'm Julia Billen. I'm the owner here at WarmlyYours. And this is my lovely assistant, Scott.
Hi there.
Thank God he's cute, because the brains I'm not quite sure about, guys.
Not today.
But we're going to be talking about thermostats today, everything you would want to know and a little bit more. It is one of the key elements in selecting your floor heating product, and it's also key on determining the kind of comfort that you want. So let's get started. We do have an expert here. I teased him a little bit, but this guy's in charge of tech support. He gets all the calls. He understands all of the systems. Let's go to our next slide so people can see how to ask questions. It's right there at the bottom, ask a question. We did get some in advance, so we'll be covering those as we go. But let's lead the charge. So in general, the overview is going to be this.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the nSpire series of thermostats, how to control your floor heating, because floor heating really isn't any good unless you can control it or turn it on.
Right.
Setting up the thermostat, and what are the best practices that you can do when you are heating your area the way you want to heat it.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about, most people are familiar with thermostats. They've been on our homes since, I would assume, the 50s, maybe even earlier. Honeywell, I led the charge. And these are energy efficient. These are an energy efficient way to control your home, whether it's floor heating or some other type of heating or cooling source.
Yeah, things have come a long way, even since we've been in business here. You know, back in the day, you used to have a timer and all kinds of different things to make this type of thing work. And now it's all built into one beautiful display. So, you know, if you were little and you remember that round thermostat being on your wall and you just set it to 70 and set it there forever, things have come a long way. There's no reason to heat a floor to its temperature when there's no one going to be walking on it. So that's part of the programmable part that comes up.
Or no one's going to be in the room.
Right, exactly.
Or you're on vacation.
Exactly. And also one of the great benefits of these is you put one of these in every space that you have floor heating.
Yeah.
And then you can have one zone on and one, like if you're in the room most of the time, have that room on. If you're only using a room once or twice a year, like at Thanksgiving or Christmas, there's no reason to heat it all the time. So you just turn it on when people are going to be using that room. So it's really, really a great way to save yourself some money.
And we're at the point now where the thermostat is that. Did you hear that accent? Thermostat has become
very continental.
Yes, thank you. It's become like the star of the room. It's controlling, for the most part, the environment of that room.
Right. And the great thing about bathrooms, we, you know, a large portion of our install base is in bathrooms. And what people love to do, since the wire that we sell and the cable that we sell is wet location listed, people love putting it in the shower and on the shower bench. And the good thing about that is you can operate the shower bench and the floor separately from the rest of the bathroom. So if you like that to be extra warm, you just put it on its own thermostat. It heats up to an individual temperature differing from your floor in your bathroom. So it really offers you a lot of flexibility. And
that reminds me, we actually did get a question on that, folks. If it is in a bathroom, one person's concern was the humidity factor. Now, these thermostats are rigorously tested by UL, and humidity is one of the tests that it goes through, and it's passed with flying colors. So humidity, not an issue.
Yeah, we get returns on thermostats. We have thermostats out there that are 15 years old.
Yeah.
And they don't have any problem with humidity related issues.
Yeah.
The only humidity related issue I could even tell you about in our thermostats that are 6, 7, 10 years old is simply the connection from the faceplate to the base. If you lift the base and separate the faceplate from it and plug it back in, that usually takes care of any problems I've ever seen. So it's so minute that that you would think someplace like a high humidity bathroom would destroy thermostats, but these thermostats really are designed to be in that particular space.
Cool. So let's talk about how you combine the thermostat with the floor heating. What's unique about electric floor heating and how you work a thermostat?
Oh, what's great about electric floor heating is that the heat is at your feet and it fills the entire room. You're not having a hot air blow down, come about 2/3 of the way down and then go right back up to the ceiling.
Or quickly rush in and then rush out.
Disappear. Yeah. This makes the room warm from the floor to the ceiling.
So that's that radiant element.
Yeah.
360 degrees, if you will.
And some people, back in the day, it was always hot water that people were accustomed to. Oh my God, I don't want to put in all this plumbing and all that other stuff.
Right.
But this electric product is in the thin bed installation, which is coincidentally our second bullet point on this piece of presentation. And what that means is if you put electric heating in a thin bed directly on top of your subfloor, you don't have to heat up an 8-inch or 6-inch or 4-inch thick slab first.
Right.
So it heats up much faster.
So like on average, I think we usually say about 45 minutes, it should reach temperature.
Yeah, it's going to
I mean, it depends on the temperature, but on
exactly.
average.
Yeah, and if it's cold underneath or whatever. There's a whole lot of atmospheric things that have to do with your final floor temperature, but you will get a much faster temperature rise and warmer floors with a thin bed installation.
And that's what makes it so great for the remodeling. Again, another bullet point is, you don't have to be building. This doesn't have to be new construction. You can you can move into a new place, or you have a customer that just wants to customize it, make it their own, or update it. And this is perfect because it's so thin. You can get that in, you can get the warm floors, and you get the control specific for that room.
Well, just last week, we got a call from somebody who had hot water heating in their house, but they couldn't get hot water heating up to their bedroom, or up to the bathroom hooked onto their bedroom. Second level on the other end of the house. So they contacted us saying, hey, we want to get this room warm. We can't get any hot water up there. So what do we do? So we took care of them. So there's a lot of ways that you can get electric in here very, very easily. So it's interesting to talk to somebody who had hot water that really needs our product, because it's so much easier for remodeling jobs.
And a lot of times you think these are competing technologies, but they really can work together. It doesn't have to be all hydronic, doesn't have to be all electric. It just has to make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we said before, it's great for wet locations. So it can go in your shower, on your shower bench.
Yes.
Shower benches are notoriously cold.
Yes.
Even if they're 80 degrees, they still feel like they're 20. So we can heat that up for you. And that's what's great about the wet location listing. We can put that comfort exactly where you want it, in the shower, in the bathroom, or anywhere in the house.
So winning combination, thermostat, electric floor heating. Let's introduce the team.
Yeah, so here they are. They look great. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.
It's a really beautiful color there, blue.
I love this color. But there are different thermostats for different jobs.
Yeah.
NTouch Wi-Fi, the NTouch, the Enhance, and the Entrust. And, you're going to tell us what you're looking for.
Yeah,
do you want a Wi-Fi unit or not? Or what are you going to do? Do you have a hardwood floor? That sort of thing. If you tell us what kind of situation you have, we can tell you which one's best suited.
And I think that's a key point that I wanted to say. It's really personal. It's about your application, but it's also about how you work. And we'll go through these controls one by one, and we'll kind of talk about their features in general, and then we'll break it down to what we think the best application is for each one of these, and even the best personality type. We all have some of us like to be very involved with how we control our thermostats and our lives in general. I'm talking about you.
Oh, okay.
And then some of us are pretty more relaxed, and clearly I'm talking about me. All right, so let's introduce this suite. Let's take a look at the comparison chart so you can get a bird's eye view of how these kind of match up. I love this. It's very easy to kind of look at the suite there, and you can see a lot of reds on that right and a lot of green on that left. Do you want to walk us through?
Yeah, I like going from right to left because I think that's the direction we're going to be going in the presentation. So we might as well stay with that theme. We start on the right side with the Entrust. And if you look there at the very bottom, the pricing is kind of what drives the location of these on the sheet. The least expensive is the Entrust. The Entrust is simply a set it and forget it thermostat. If you have older parents and they don't like to try to program things, or they just say set it for this temperature and leave it there forever, that's your product right there.
That you go to.
Yep. You just set it for whatever temperature you want it to be, and it will stay there until you tell it to do something else.
And, sometimes when I'm looking at these controls and I'm sizing it potentially for budget, not just application, not just personality type, but for budget. And if I know the floor heating element itself is roughly $200, at that point, it might be difficult for me to include another control above and beyond, or not close to that price point.
Do you have a guest bedroom in your house?
I do.
Does it get used every day?
No, thank you.
Probably not. And if you do, you need to kick them out. But if you have a guest bedroom and it gets used twice a year, you put an entrust in there, the one on the right, and you just set it for the temperature they want. And then when they leave, you turn it off.
Brilliant.
Very, very simple. There's no reason to program a space like that doesn't get used more than a few times a year.
Nice.
So that's why I say you tell us what you're going to be doing.
What are your goals?
Floor, and how is this room going to be used? Yeah. And then we can get you the right thermostat for it.
All right. And then after that, we have the Enhance. And the Enhance, in my opinion, this was the de facto control for many, many years in the electric floor heating market. This was basically what we had until things got a little bit more sophisticated with other technologies like touch screen and Wi-Fi. But the Enhance was the go-to thermostat. Where do you see this now that things have shifted a little bit to higher technology? Where do you see this control fitting in for our audience?
The place it fits in is one of two places. That is the price point.
Okay.
And the second is for people who have older systems installed in their floor. They did not install a floor sensor because the thermostat they installed was simply a dial unit from 0 to 10, which we used to call a comfort regulator. Those were on the product offering for years and years until companies quit making them.
Right.
So
demand decreased, I would assume.
Yeah, but the people that have bought them need some way to control them because there is no sensor in the floor. You simply are turning it on for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
So what you do is you set it to 50%, which means it's on half the time and off half the time.
So it's sort of like what's in your car.
Yeah, unless like high or low.
Higher low.
Low. It's like a volume control on your stereo. Remember what those are? You turn it up or you turn it down. Right. It's very, very simple. So the Enhance is especially kept here by us, for one thing, because it allows us to service our customers who have the comfort regulators.
Nice. And then now, and like I was sharing, folks, the Enhance used to be de facto, but now it's really centered around touchscreen technology. People love the ease of being able to touch that screen versus pushing that button and being able to much more easier with a better user interface, set up, control, understand what's going on with their heating system.
Yeah, the programming is a delight. Excuse me, and the program is actually built in there already. So it comes pre-installed with a program that comes on in the morning, cools down during the middle of the day, comes on at night, and then cools down overnight. So that's already built into that product. So it's there. You can just simply turn it on, set it up, turn it on, get it ready to go, and you're set.
Yeah.
The main difference between the two on the left, the NTouch Wi-Fi and the NTouch, is the price for one thing, and for that extra $80 or the extra $76. You get a control via the web with Wi-Fi.
Right.
That's what you're really getting, the difference.
Yeah. So I notice, okay, we're under the NTouch right now. We're talking about that touch screen technology, ease of use. It's got the setup wizard. Talk to me about the QR code support, because that's the one I'm least familiar with. And I would assume our audience, that one might be a little bit newer for them as well.
Well, all they do is if they have a QR code reader on their phone, they can—
Which is built in now to a lot of the phones.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can simply just press a spot on the menu. It'll give you a QR code and you take a picture of that and send it to us, or you just decode it yourself and it'll tell you how many watts the product is. It'll tell you everything about this thermostat, when it's programmed to be on or off. So that's what the QR code support is. It's a snapshot of the way your product is set up.
And when would you need that?
To try to troubleshoot and see if the system has been coming on or not.
Okay.
So you could simply take a picture of it with your cell phone and send to us.
Call us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we can do that. There's also an option in there, QR code support. If you press a button that says, give this to me in words, it'll tell you that information in words, like it's on now, or it's set to 82 and you thought it was set to 89, and that's why it's not getting warm, because it really isn't set to 89, it's set to 82. So there's a whole bunch of different things that'll tell you exactly how it's set up. So that's
very cool. And then if we also look all the way to the left, the NTouch Wi-Fi, that's the only feature that above and beyond the de facto standard now of the NTouch is that Wi-Fi capability, which some people love, and actually some people not so much.
Right.
Yeah. So especially since for the most part, these things are controlling one room the head pin of the electric floor heating industry is a single master bath. That's the head pin. And then after that, it's kitchens. But for the most part, you're going to find these in master bathrooms.
Right.
The one more thing I want to talk about there is that floor sensor compatibility. So that's on the chart. And so what I'm seeing there looks alien. I'm not even sure what language this is. Talk me through it.
Well, old school. OJ, the company that makes this, is a European country, European company.
Yeah.
They're not a country of their own,
Yeah.
but they're a European company. And back in the day, the Europeans are always ahead of us in everything when it comes to whatever. If you've ever been to Europe, you know that.
Yeah.
But in Europe, the standard pretty much was 12 ohm standard for a floor sensor.
Okay.
And that's set up on the Celsius scale to read out at a certain amount of time, a certain temperature at a certain ohms reading. In the US, it was historically 10 ohms.
Okay.
So that is where you get the difference. So if you have a really old OJ thermostat that we sold you 12 years ago,
or another
10
European
years ago,
manufacturer,
it's probably 12 ohm sensor,
yeah.
which you can then, with any of these three on the left, you can choose and swap those between 10 and 12. Mm-hmm. So they are adaptable.
And I think this is a perfect time to kind of transition into our next slide, because now that we've introduced the suite of products, we've kind of talked about a little, and we're going to talk more about the nature of each one. We're ending with that floor sensor. And that's what's kind of unique about electric floor heating, is that typically it's controlled by the temperature of the floor. It doesn't have to be, but it typically has been historically. So as you are now getting into the point where you're going to start to program that thermostat, for most of the products, not I would assume not the simple one. Is it true for that one? Does that have a sensor? Let's go back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So they all have a sensor. Excellent. So the first thing that you need to think about here is how you're going to control that room. Are you going to control it by the temperature of the floor, or what most of us are used to, which is ambient temperature, the temperature of the air? Mm-hmm. And I would assume that's for radiant heat, it's not just the air, it's the objects in the room as well.
Right. So that's what the thing with radiant heat is, it heats the objects, not necessarily the air.
Yeah.
So that's why historically with electric floor heating, it's been set up as a floor temperature thing, because it's heating the objects, and sometimes it doesn't heat the air. So you may be trying to heat the air to 75 degrees or whatever, and everything, the floor is really hot or whatever, because it's trying to achieve that air temperature. So once again, this is where you're going to tell us, you're going to say, I want this put in my bathroom, and all I want in my bathroom are warm floors,
right? Because
I've got forced air that can keep the bathroom warm. There are going to be people who say, you know what? I'm at the very end of the house. By the time the hot air gets to my register in my bathroom, it isn't hot anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to get some air temperature heat in here too. So there you can have a bathroom that you're going to say, I want the air to be this warm, or I want the floor to be warm when I step out of the shower.
Right.
That's what you're going to tell us.
Now, I'm going to just share with you. My house is solely heated by electric floor heating. I know that's a shock to you guys out there. And through the years, I changed my mind. I'm really a pro ambient temperature gal, except for certain applications like wood flooring. But again, most of these are going into bathrooms. It's usually a tile or some type of stone. I have mine in my entire house. I use it as a primary heat source. So I am a little bit of an exception. Thank you very much. But what I found is that using it with ambient temperature, I can make sure that it's the heating element is not only related to what the temperature of the floor is, but also what other heat sources are in the room. For example, if I'm in a bathroom, I might have a towel warmer in that room as well as my floor heating. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to want to make sure that all of those heating sources are taken into consideration. You might be running HVAC and floor heating at the same time, especially if you're in a seriously cold climate. And in that case, you want those two to be able to talk to each other. For me, I noticed that I would leave my floor heating at a specific temperature, but when the sun was shining in a room that was facing south or west, you know, my room would get way too hot. So I went from controlling my floors by a floor temperature. I migrated to ambient temperature. And I think people have to look at what they're trying to accomplish. Is it primary or is it comfort only? They have to look at the room. Are there other heat sources? And then, you know, they have to look at the application.
Right.
So this is the first thing that you have to decide. And one of the things that we like to share is if it's comfort heating, you know, it's probably you'll be fine with floor temperature. Sole source, you might want to look at ambient temperature.
No matter what you do, always put the floor sensor in. That
Absolutely.
way, if you change your mind, you go, okay, well, I think I've tried ambient, but let's try floor.
Yeah.
If you don't put the sensor in, you can't go to floor temperature.
That's right. So that's a good point. And then I guess the only other thing that, you know, we should talk about, we talked about wood floors a little bit, but there are some floors where you really have to keep the temperature very constant. You don't want those fluctuations in temperature. And something like that, it would be mandatory that you would be controlling the actual floor temperature.
Right. Any product that you have in your house that has a temperature, maximum temperature restriction.
Some limit.
Carpet, some laminate, some LVT.
Yeah.
Hardwood always has a temperature limit, engineered, whatever. Those products that say, hey, when you put this in, it's okay to use radiant heat, but do not go over this. You have to go floor. And
that sensor is embedded in the floor. And then it's low voltage and then it's just travels across the floor and up, and it is wired to the back of that control, as you can see. So it's pretty easy, but that's a big deciding factor. And as we go through and we start to program each one of these controls, we're going to talk about what happens if that's on ambient versus floor. And if you guys have any questions, if that doesn't make sense, you know, start shouting them out. We'll take them one by one. But let's get started into the fun stuff. Let's program some thermostats, and we're starting with the simplest. The
one that you don't program.
We wanted to make sure that you were, you know, capable here. So this is a test. If you pass this one, you're good. But yeah, this is the set it and forget it. Ideal. You like this one, I believe, for wood floors.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Well, wood floors will tell you, a lot of the manufacturers can say your maximum temperature is 82. Yeah. And there's a maximum deviation per day of 2 degrees or 4 degrees or 3 degrees or whatever it is. Most of them are 3 degrees. So if you set your floor to 82, the most it can ever go above that is 85, and the lowest it can ever go is 79. So there's no need. You can't do a programming. You can't get it cold at night and hot during the day, then cool, then hot, then cold, because it does this.
Yeah.
Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
And you can't take advantage of being away on vacation because you want to keep that temperature very stable. And then you need to back off as you're coming out of the cooler seasons.
Right. So when you were commissioning your floor each year, it's like getting a boat ready to go in the springtime. You have to get it set and ready to go in the fall. So if let's say that your floor right now is 69 degrees or 70 degrees or whatever it is, if you want it to go to 82, most flooring manufacturers will say 2 or 3 degrees per day. So you would go from 70 to 73. Then the next day, 73 to 76. Then the next day from 76 to 79.
I think we got it.
And so on and so on. But I'm just doing that because it could literally be 4 or 5 days where until you get to that point.
Yeah.
And then you just leave it there. So there's no need to pay for Wi-Fi control because you can't be turning it on and turning it off.
Right.
And there's no need for programming
multiple program sessions. Okay.
So this is the perfect thermostat for that expensive floor.
So you've got your time, you've got the current temperature, and then you've got a menu button where you can increase or decrease the temperature. It's that simple.
Yes. And
then the other thing that we should talk about, and let's start here because it's true for every one of these controls, is that they have a built-in GFCI. And with that, there's a test button. You're routinely supposed to test those at the beginning of the season. We'll talk more about that as well. And I think routinely, you're supposed to check these as well as making sure the GFCI has not tripped.
Right. It's a once per month test, and you're not really testing the floor. You're testing the circuit that tests the floor. So that's simply what you're doing. You're creating a fake GFI scenario and to make sure that the system says, oh, there's a GFI, then you reset it using the button on the right. That's the same for every one of these.
And folks, that GFCI is really important. In traditional heating like HVAC, we don't really talk about GFCI, but we do with electric floor heating. And the reason for that is people want to know that they're just not going to get electrocuted.
Right. It's very, very safe. If there's if it senses any peculiarity in that line, the GFCI is built into the thermostat. You don't have to go out and buy a GFI breaker. It's already in the thermostat. So that's all you need to do. Don't go out and buy a breaker, because if you put a breaker on with a thermostat with GFI, sometimes they can nuisance trip.
Right.
But the best is to get a regular breaker, dedicate that breaker to the floor only. So nothing else is going on, like fans and hair dryers and stuff like that. And dedicate that circuit to this thermostat, and then do that test every month.
And then what the GFCI does, I mean, it is serious. It is really making sure that the system is safe. There's no potential to be shocked in any way. We're talking about 120 volt here, sometimes 240. And within nanoseconds, if it sees a leakage of any kind, it cuts the system within nanoseconds.
Right.
So
always, always, always make sure that your system, if you choose not to buy one of our thermostats, why are you watching today, for one thing? But if you choose to use some other thermostat that doesn't have the GFI, make sure you get the GFI breaker.
Yeah.
But if you have a GFI in the thermostat, don't get a GFI breaker.
Good point. So that's the nTrust. Set it and forget it. Then we go to the enhance, and here's where we start to get in some programming.
Yeah, so you can set up programming with this unit. However, you'll find the programming with the touchscreen much, much easier.
It's easier.
This is all menu driven. It's very, very kludgy sometimes, and it gives you some sort of kickback every once in a while. The main thing about this is this is not specifically, but this is a great thermostat for the people out there that have comfort regulators.
And it does have some programming in it. So you might get lucky and like the standard programming. And we'll talk about what the standard programming looks like in other slides. But this does allow you to set up, those programs. Do you remember how many programs you can set up with this?
It's 7 days and two events per day. So
brilliant. Yeah. That's all you need for the most part. So now you like to talk about this, it acts as a regulator. So talk about what that means to you.
It's simply like a volume control. You turn it up to make it warmer. You turn it down to make it cooler. That's all there is to a regulator.
Okay. And then that child lock feature, that is actually something that we get requested a lot. Usually they're not calling it child lock. They're calling it colleague lock because one person in the building loves it really warm and the other person wants it a little bit cooler. But you do have the ability to lock this control, which is a nice feature for the price point. All right. So let's move on. This is the star. So we're going to talk about the NTouch thermostat. I will not sing anymore.
Yeah, this is a great thermostat. The primary thing, we sell a lot of these, and people find these very popular because, one, they look great. They look great on the wall, and they are so easy to program. It's not menu driven. You don't have to hit enter, then up, up, down, down, enter, down, down, up, up, enter. It's simply touch the screen and it takes you to where you want to go. So if you look there, starting from the upper left-hand side, you've got the date and time showing. You have the current room temperature showing. You have the heating indicator, which are those wavy lines.
Yeah, so that's when you know the system's operating. It's on. It's trying to heat.
It's sending power to the floor when those wavy lines are on.
Gotcha.
The temperature there, the big one there in the center, is what we're shooting for, what the target temperature is.
And that 72 degrees to me looks like an ambient temperature, not a floor temperature.
Probably, yeah.
Because usually we suggest that people start out with floor temperature about 82 degrees and then up and down based on that. Because most people kind of understand ambient temperature. I know at 70 degrees, I'm pretty comfortable. In evenings, I like it to go down to 68 degrees. But that's very different from a floor temperature, where you kind of have to just readjust your thinking and then just do what feels best for the room and for your feet.
Right. And then you keep going along there and it'll tell you when the next schedule change is. So that's coming up on the horizon very quickly.
Based on the programming that you've set or the default programming.
Right. Then you have your on-off GFCI reset button on the right side.
Nice.
If you have a GFI, you just press the button and release it. If you want to turn the unit off for the summer, you just press and hold that button down for 3 seconds and the thermostat will go off.
And this has a vacation mode and all of that other good stuff.
And then the main menu is in the upper right-hand corner. So if you want to go in and change something like your schedule, something like that, then that's what that menu button is up on the top right corner.
Perfect. And then the last but not least, the most feature-rich would be the Wi-Fi. So let's go down the slide.
Well, no, wait a second.
Oh,
what about those people who might like a black finish on their thermostat?
Good point. And that is trending. So
black is available for that.
All right, cool. And then the most feature rich, the Wi-Fi. How do I see the difference? Because these two controls look very similar to me.
You look for the weather indicator, which is there on the left side. It will show you
I
clouds
see. The cloud,
or
the sun,
or whatever.
Hoping for sun one day, guys. Hoping for some sun. Yeah.
And then you have the wireless connection indicator, which is there in that group in the upper left-hand corner, which is the international symbol for Wi-Fi.
Oh, I see it right there. Okay. Kind of looks like a power line, if you will.
Yep. And then this product, what the main driver for this product is to not only have that, but to be able to change your settings when you're at work and say, hey, I'm coming home an hour early. I want it to go up to 74 right now and we'll be done. It'll be warm when I get home.
So this has got a nice app that's associated with it, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. Now, since the first two controls are, fairly simple, we're going to focus on the programming with the NTouch and the Wi-Fi. And actually, the two of them are very similar. So don't get too bored, guys. Don't tune out just yet. We'll walk you through most of the time, assuming that we're talking about the NTouch, and then there's just a few little differences between NTouch and then NTouch Wi-Fi.
And I can tell you where everybody gets stuck when they call us.
Where?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay. All right. I'll look forward to that.
This is not where.
this is not that time.
Yeah. So you know what you are. You're speaking English, French, or
absolutely. Espanol. So first thing is that English, that language that you're going to speak or read.
Right.
And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to test the system.
And it does it itself.
It's self-testing.
So really, as soon as you get to this, it tests everything.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you right now that this system, if you look here, I think you guys can see the floor sensor was not installed because they want to run this in ambient. Or hopefully they installed the floor sensor, but it's just not hooked up.
There you go.
So there we go. Remember, when you get this thermostat, inside the box will be the thermostat and the sensor.
That's a good point. We didn't talk about that.
Yes. Make sure before you install the heating product that you find the thermostat box, open it up, take the thermostat out, and below the thermostat will be the sensor wire.
And that gets forgotten a lot.
Get that put in the floor. Whether you're going to go ambient or floor or whatever, don't forget the sensor.
Good point. All right. So it's doing the self-test. If there's an issue, call us. I'd like to share that we have 24/7 tech support. Scott loves those calls at 2 a.m. in the morning with my floor sensor fail. But seriously, our tech support team is here to help you. So if you have any questions whatsoever, let us know. Next step is testing that GFCI. And we talked about that.
This is where everybody gets stuck.
Why?
Because you press the button like it tells you to.
Right.
And then the light goes on like it says it's going to.
Yes.
And then sometimes people go, oh, I've got a GFI problem. I need to call.
Oh, okay.
You don't have a GFI problem.
It's just testing to make sure that if you did, the light would come on.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So it is saying, actually, you press this. If, if you press the button and nothing happens, it tells you the circuitry inside is not working.
Right. Because that would be a problem.
Simply all that is.
Okay.
You're supposed to get a message saying you have a GFI.
Okay. Next thing is, what are you running in terms of temperature, Fahrenheit or Celsius? How are you measuring? The default is?
Default is Fahrenheit.
Excellent. So our friends in Canada might have to change that to Celsius, although sometimes they run Fahrenheit as well.
I keep hitting the forward button looking for centigrade.
Right.
Where do I put centigrade in this thing?
Yeah, down.
Oh, don't.
All right. So we're setting up the temperature measurement. And then this one is where we start to differentiate. Everything else is pretty much the same. Language, test that GFCI. But now we're going to be talking about a distributor ID. What is this?
This is simply a number that you hit in, and you'll need to go to this lower section right here because that's where the numbers are. And you key that in, and once you press that, it'll give you numbers across the thing.
But why do I need a distributor ID?
This just sets you up in the right place when you get the Wi-Fi app set.
Okay.
It gets you in the right room and gets you, it tells you that it's that's the WarmlyYours ID number.
That's an identification right there. And this is only for the Wi-Fi. You don't need this for the touch. And where do they get the distributor ID?
It is actually put on a sticker on the front. Oops, I'm sorry that I did
That's all right.
When you get the new thermostat, there'll be a piece of bluish film over the front of this thermostat. And on that piece of bluish film, if you have a Wi-Fi unit, it will say, it will be a white sticker. And on that white sticker, it'll tell you what the distributor ID is.
Perfect. And is that 12066? Is that it?
10266.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then the next thing that we're looking at is the floor load. And this is slightly different between the NTouch and the Wi-Fi. So let's talk about the NTouch first. And really what we're doing here is we're setting up the control so that it can keep track of the energy usage, correct?
Yep.
And so talk us through this screen and how people know what to put here. Because if I saw this come up, I'd be very confused.
Well, first of all, whatever number you put in here has nothing to do with the operation of the unit.
Okay, so I can leave it at this.
You can leave it here and the system will work perfectly fine.
Okay.
You would not even begin to understand the number of calls we get every week from people who saying, oh my God, I think I put 0.7 in and it's really 0.6. What is it going to do to the system? It doesn't do anything to the system.
So here on the NTouch, it's a manual entry where you're putting in the number of kilowatts that heating element is using to operate, to heat the floor. And that information can be found in watts and kilowatts in a few places. One is we always recommend that we do a smart plan, a design. So we do a floor plan with exactly how much floor heating you need. And in that, not only is it the square footage of how much you need for coverage, but it's also how many watts or kilowatts the system is going to use to operate. And we also include, beyond the floor plan, an electrical plan. And that gives a lot of details on electrical consumption. And that is, you know, those are two places that you can go to find that information. It's on every job we do unless you don't want it.
Right.
But we always recommend that you do it for a lot of reasons. But one of it is it's very easy for you now to plug in the number of kilowatts.
Yes. So that number is always on the lower right-hand corner of your installation plan.
Okay.
And that installation plan is free. So there's really no reason not to get it, because in the installation plan, we show you how to cut and turn the product or to install the cable. However, we show you how to install it. And we will also tell you how many watts your product is.
All right, so we've got a question. Let's see how we can pull that up. All right, there we go. Previous model 120GA had a 5 millimeter GFCI leakage threshold, and this model has a 15. So, you know, you want to talk about the difference there?
Well, it has to do with the National Electric Code. I can get as in-depth as this as you want, but for the people that aren't feeling like sleeping yet, the GA is a 5 milliamp, and it's
milliamp, not millimeter. Sorry about that.
That's all right. 5 milliamp historically, and the National Electric Code has changed, where back in the old days, there was no GFI protection needed on anything.
That's right.
Then it moved to outdoor outlets. Then it moved to the outlets in a bathroom. Then it moved to the bathroom and the kitchen. Then it moved to the water room. Then it moved to buy washers and dry. It has crept into the code. So
not a bad thing.
Which is very good. And in the old days, the 120 GB was fine in everywhere but the bathroom. You could use it in the kitchen. You could use it in the dining room. You could use it in the basement. You could use it anywhere. However, now when you have and I have to say some electrical codes require GFI with floor heat everywhere.
I've not seen that.
Some electrical codes require it in the kitchen and the bathroom where there's a source of water.
Seen that. So
it depends on what your local code says. So if your local code says you have to have GFI protection class A, then that means you would need either the 120 GA, which is what we were selling for years, or any of these units that we're selling now are GA. They're 5 milliamp trip. So these can work in any room in your house.
Now, I know sometimes we would use a larger, like a 15 milliamp, if there was nuisance tripping in a room and we knew it wasn't related to any real security issue or safety issue. It was just maybe the at the same time, the dryer was going off as your floor heating would cause some nuisance tripping. And one solution was to have a thermostat that allowed for a higher degree of differentiation.
Right. So
is that the best way to say it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's noise on the circuit providing power to the floor can make a GFI nuisance trip. But that's a great question, Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
Cool.
I think we want to see how we can get rid of that question. Answered.
Right? There you go.
We're just learning this program, folks, so thank you for bearing with us.
All right. So let's get back to the NTouch. We're talking about the fact that you have the floor plan, the electrical plan, and here you're going to put in the number of kilowatts up or down. And if you don't know, bypass, come back later, call us. We have all of your documentation in our systems. We know exactly how many kilowatts that system is using. And then you might not even care about electrical usage. Maybe you're not going to look at those reports.
Right.
So again, this could be something that you get from the information we provide. Call us for it, or I don't care, click onto the next.
So when it comes to the Wi-Fi unit, here's where it does that work for you.
I like that. You just tell it on, you turn it on, and it senses exactly the electrical consumption, and it's done.
Yep. Very simple.
All right. And then here is the sensor type. For the most part, it's defaulting to that 10 ohm rating, and that's going to be true for most of the controls, except if you're replacing something that's much older and European. And if you're not sure, call us. We'll walk you through it.
Yeah, 99.9% of the time, you're going to leave it at default.
Yeah, no, it's 99.99.
Okay, perfect.
All right, and then here's where we start to set up dates and times. And there are default settings that are already programmed into these controls, and those may work for you. If not, it's very easy to set up a daytime and from there copy it over. Do we want to talk about that?
We're too soon here.
Am I too soon?
Yes.
Oh, this is the date and the time of the actual system.
Yeah, so you can't have it come on or go off at a certain time if it doesn't know what time it is. So
good point.
You have to tell it what the day and time is, and it will keep this information.
Yep.
For like I think it's like it'll keep the program forever.
What about daylight savings time? How's that work?
That can be set up. It's a in the menu. It's very simple to set that, so you know what that is.
Good.
And let's move on to the next one, and that is where we are going to probably have an impact on your floor, because we get a lot of this is our main call about this thermostat.
Yeah, so pay attention.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
It's defaulted to laminate.
Yeah.
We know that probably 80% or more of the people that have heated floors have tile floors.
That's right.
So this is the one thing you're going to have to go in and change. As Julia was saying, a lot of it's built in. You really don't have to worry about changing anything.
All right.
But if you have tile floors, this is what you will have to change. And that's as simple as, you see where that red dot is right there.
Laminate.
Yep. And simply by taking your finger and pushing that empty dot,
Tile.
it will turn it red and will make it then tile.
So if there's one takeaway,
always change it to tile if you have a tile floor.
Okay.
So that's the one thing you have to remember to do.
Okay, done. And then disabled, I assume that, okay, it's right on the slide there. That's for ambient temperature. So you're not really worried about the floor temperature. And then custom, I guess, is if you have a floor temperature that maybe is mandated by the manufacturer.
Of 79 or 85 or some other number than 82, then just go ahead and go with custom.
Okay.
And set it to what that number is.
Excellent. All right. Thanks for sharing that. Here's the fun stuff.
Yes. Now that we know what the day and time
clearly
is.
I don't have a life, but here's the fun stuff. Okay. So talk me through how easy this is, because it doesn't look easy. There's a lot of information.
There's a lot of information there, but the numbers are already set up for you. So if these numbers look good, you don't even have to worry about it.
Just next.
Just next, and there's the next button, next, by changing every day, because the day shows up there, what day it is. Then you go Monday, Tuesday, click, 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 and it will show you you have 6 things that you can schedule here.
Okay.
Which means that there are 3 events.
Okay. So how does that work?
Start and end, start and end, start and end.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
So
that's why
they're like bookends.
Yes.
Okay. So most people, I would assume, are using either one or two slots. Events.
Yeah.
Okay. So I might have a morning and an evening event.
Right. And that's why if you look real carefully, if you're squinted at our presentation, you'll see that there is a middle event there to come on in the middle of the day,
and
or
there's
whatever.
X's.
And they're X'd out and they're gray.
Yeah. Okay.
So
clearly only two events here. Okay. But the possibility for a third event.
Yeah. So what I can do is I can go here and actually press down on these times and change those times.
Okay.
And get that to be whatever I want it to be. And then once I'm comfortable with this Monday, I can hit copy to, and that will copy this information. Then I click down here to go to Tuesday, copy, Wednesday, copy, or paste. So it's very, very simple to do.
And then the weekends, that might be a little bit different because we're in our homes a lot longer.
Yeah. So, and then that would probably be 1 and 2 would be the first one would be 7 a.m. and the number 2 would be 11 p.m. It would just stay on all day.
Okay.
And then the other ones would be blank.
Nice.
Or grayed out.
Nice. And then there are those rooms that you're only using occasionally. What do you do about those? I mean, the holidays are coming up, so
get a different thermostat.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I would.
Yeah. And we talked about that in the earlier. Just maybe use one that where you can just turn it on and quickly bring it up to temperature.
Right.
It only takes 45 minutes, so dinner's going in the oven. Turn on that room, get it up to 82 or 72, whether you're using floor or ambient temperature.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. All right. And this is the fancy stuff.
Yeah. This is the app for controlling the Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi thermostat can work perfectly without the app. You don't need the app to do anything except to be able to control it when you're not at home, or to turn it on, turn the base. We know now that when I have to talk to somebody in my house and they're downstairs and I'm upstairs, instead of me walking down the stairs, I'll just text them. So
I just yell.
Why not? So since we're texting each other in other rooms or downstairs and upstairs or whatever, why not control the basement floor from the comfort of your bed on your app?
Nice idea.
Yeah.
So or turn it off. You're upstairs and oh my goodness, I left the kitchen floor on. Just turn it off. Right.
And if your significant other is in the doghouse, you can just simply turn their floor completely off and go, they wake up in the morning. It's like, I'm freezing. I need to be better to you. I'll come back up here. So there's a lot of different wacky things you can do with this Wi-Fi, but the main thing is to get it, being able to control it from somewhere else.
And one of the key things that I love about the Wi-Fi control is a lot of people do end up getting it in the master bathroom. I love it. Put it in the kitchen when they remodel, put it in the kids' bathroom when they remodel that, put it in the powder room when they remodel that. And with this Wi-Fi control, you can actually connect and control all of these with this app.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. If you're doing multiple rooms, I personally would go with the Wi-Fi. If it's just one room, I personally would go with the NTouch or the very simple control.
Depending on what your flooring is.
Depending on what your flooring is.
The great thing is you have, no matter how big your house is, odds are that you probably don't have any more than 16 thermostats. So most of the time, 90% of the time, if you have a large house, you're going to be using less than 16 thermostats.
Yeah.
So this app will let you control 16 different thermostats in 16 different areas with your same account.
And that's the grand finale, folks. I mean, so we've gone through all the controls, kind of given you an idea of what they look like, how to program them. Let's talk about one more thing before we sign off, and that is you really do like to emphasize this testing before winter.
Yeah, and the simple thing is, especially if you have a floor that you have to acclimate to get ready for the winter, you might
like
as well,
a wood floor.
Yeah, like a wood floor. You're just going to test the GFI first to make sure it works and everything is cool. And if it's working fine, then you can go, all right, I'm ready for the winter, and I'm going to set my temperature up 3 degrees today.
Guests coming for the holidays. The one room or two rooms that you only use for that dinner, making sure that you do the GFCI test, because you don't want to be the day before Christmas or Thanksgiving seeing that something's wrong with the floor or something's wrong with the control. So just as the cool weather starts to come in, we like you to get that testing done.
And we also want you to test this every month too. Don't just wait
during the season.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. But not in the summertime, huh? Oh, come on.
The lawyer just told me to say test every month.
Oh, come on. All right, guys. So any other questions? I love this platform because it really does make it easy for you guys to ask questions. And as you guys are maybe typing those in, let's go through what's coming up. Let's take an you can just exit out of that.
Okay.
Let's go back to our slide presentation, and let's go back to slide 28, and let's talk about what our next webinar is going to be talking about. And we're really talking about getting ready, winterizing for the basement. And the reason for that, I mean, right now, Halloween is coming up, Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas is coming up, Hanukkah's coming, everything's coming up, you know, and so we want to make sure that you're ready for those guests that are coming. You're going to be using that basement. The basements can be cold and damp, and we want that to be a source of comfort for the holiday season. So we're going to be talking about that.
I don't want to limit it to just that, though, Julie.
No, what do you want to talk about?
There's a lot of people. I know it's hard to believe there are a lot of people in the U.S. that don't have basements.
That's true.
So please don't tune out on this one, but please tune in, because a lot of times where your guests sleep are bonus rooms.
Yes.
And sometimes those bonus rooms are over an unheated space like a garage,
mm-hmm.
or they're just sticking out at the end of the house somewhere where they have bad circulation, or
there might be humidity issues.
Exactly. So even though we're talking about basement here, this can really be used for rooms over unheated areas,
mm-hmm.
like overcrawl spaces. Also for any areas like that which have heating challenges, you'll be able to get a lot of good information out of this one too.
Cool. And then we always have a promotion going on. We try and tie it into what we're talking about for the month. But what we're extending is a upgrade for those of you that have older controls or clients with older controls. We're taking this month to say, okay, this is the time we're starting to put on our floor heating. Let's upgrade to something maybe that's more feature rich, or something that maybe looks a little nicer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, now's the perfect time to do it too.
All right. And then let's talk about the survey. Y'all are going to get a survey after this. It automatically pops up. But, you know, we know we're great. So,
mm-hmm.
you know, you can just put that down. But really what I want to hear from you is, what do you want us to talk about? We are doing this long format webinar every month, and we really want to hit on things that matter to you, matter to your clients. So tell us what you want, and we're actually going to do it.
Yeah, it's always great to hear your suggestions, because that's where we get some of our best ideas. If people say, hey, what about this? That's a perfect thing to talk about. Mm-hmm. So please do that.
Okay. And then other than that, the buck stops here. Contact me with anything that you need. Scott's in charge of tech support, so call the 800 number if you need him at any time. This guy's amazing. And we love that you join us. We hope you'll join us next month. We're starting also to introduce daily Q&A live presentations, where we'll be telling people how to walk through a floor plan. What is radiant heating? What else are we going to be talking about?
Once again, send us ideas too.
How to install floor heating. We'll also probably do one on thermostats in general for people. So look for that to happen. Come back to our website. You'll start to see some great things there. But it looks like you've done such a good job. We don't actually have any other questions. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's go to our last slide.
Okay.
And you want to do it?
I'll start and then you can finish. How about that?
I like it.
So thanks everybody for joining us today. Until next time.
Stay warm and be radiant.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Now we just have to end that broadcast. Bye.